Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Come to Your Senses podcast. I'm your host, award-winning certified feminine embodiment coach, licensed esthetician, and enthusiastic foster dog mama to animals across the land, Mary Lofgren. Here, we explore how to bring more richness, radiance, peace, and pleasure to our lives, homes, and hearts through the joy of beauty, the wisdom of the body, the warmth of connection, and the splendor of the senses. I'm so glad you're here. Pull up a poof and let's dive in. Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome to Come to Your Senses. Oh my heavens, do we have a treat for you today? Prepare for your ears to be so seduced by the dripping honey of this woman's voice. It is my pleasure and my delight to introduce my muse, my friend, my past life sister, Laura Jane Foley. Laura Jane is a stylist. She is an artist. She is an absolute advocate for feminine beauty, glamour, and radiance. Laura Jane has worked within fashion, retail, design, styling, event organizing, and personal coaching for 14 years. She is a passionate advocate for sustainable and independent designers and retailers and hosts workshops as well as works with clients one-on-one to provide in-depth coaching to unearth their deepest desires when it comes to how they want to feel and express themselves creatively through how they dress. She works closely with each client on a bespoke level to attain the ultimate transformation that will lead them towards a more liberated, expressed, and exciting life. And speaking of liberated, expressed, and exciting, I am also so pleased to announce that Laura Jane has gifted us a very special self-seduction meditation that will be delivered this week in the sanctuary, which is our membership community. And so if you would like to receive an even deeper, more honey-soaked maple candy version of the experience you're about to have today, head to schoolofsensualliving.com/sanctuary. And without further ado, it is my absolute delight to present Laura Jane Foley. This is audio, so people can't see that there's this gorgeous chair with embroidery behind you. Tell us about that chair.
Oh, this chair, I fell in love with it the moment I saw it in the window of a local shop. And it was more than I would usually spend on a chair, but I fell in love because, as you see, the tapestry, it's a gilt-edged sort of Louis XIV style chair with this beautiful tapestry depicting really romantic Renaissance style couple gazing lovingly into each other's eyes. And I'm such a sucker for romance and beauty, and I couldn't be without it. And I dreamt about the chair.
You know, when you start dreaming about an item, that's when you know it's time to return. You have a gorgeous gilded turban covering your head and a sparkling kimono, and just you exude glamour and sensuality. And, you know, I was doing a deep dive before we stepped on today into your Instagram, which is how I first encountered you, and just marveling at the many ways that you express this sensual soul spark. Like, you're an artist, you're a dancer, you're a mother, you're a stylist, But ultimately, what I feel whenever I interact with anything that you produce is like this real perfume of the goddess. And I think that any feminine creature can relate to being a little one and dreaming of like a magical temple where you can go and learn some of the secrets and some of the arts of the feminine by a 1920s film star. And here you are. And I wanted to start by just asking if you have any first, like early memories of when you felt this feminine spark of glamour and adornment and sensuality express itself through you.
That is a great question, and one I've answered quite a few times before. And Mary, I have to say, I don't remember it not being there. I believe I was born with it, and I love hearing women's stories when they say that, there was a defining moment in their lives when something switched on inside them. I wish I had that story, but I don't. I do honestly believe that it was there from day one. And I do believe that I have brought something into this lifetime from another lifetime where, as you said, there were temples and there were goddesses, and the feminine was, hugely worshipped and upheld. And glamour was not something thought of as being frivolous, but it was inherent within.
I love the word glamour in general, but I specifically love the kind of glamour that you practice and you teach. And I wonder if you might share, what does glamour really mean to you?
Well, do you know where glamour, the word, actually derives from, Mary?
Tell us.
I will. Glamour derives from the Scottish word gramarye, which, as you may rightfully think, it sounds like the word grammar, which is, in the way that we spell and we speak and we write. And so there is a connection to the way that we communicate. It is ultimately meaning an enchantment. It being linked to grammar is linked to the spell writing, right, of the witches and the healers and the women that came before, who would literally enchant with their words and their spells and their writings. So this is where glamour derives from. To cast a glamour literally means to bewitch and enchant. So for me, I think the most important aspect of glamour is to enchant ourselves. First and foremost, it has to be for us, and it has to come for us before anybody else. And it doesn't matter. I mean, glamour is so subjective. Everyone perceives it in a different way, and everyone thinks of glamour in their own unique way. It means something different to each person. But the most important aspect of glamour for me, and what I always communicate to the women that I work with, is that it is for yourself. It is to enchant your own self, your own mind, your body, and your day with as you move through that day. And in doing that, of course, you will enchant and bring others into the magic, and those who are willing to come with you. But ultimately, it has to be led by you, led by your heart and your desires for what enchants you, what, as I like to say, what turns you on. You have to tune into your own turn on in order to delve into your own glamour, your own sense of glamour.
I love that connection to enchantment. And when I think about things that incite a sense of glamour, it's like there is that special sparkle. And I think about the way that we adorn for special occasions, like a graduation or a wedding or what have you. And like it is a spiritual practice of inviting the divine, the goddess through the celebration of beauty.
Mm.
And that's something that I just so cherish about your work is, you teach women how to embody their sensual feminine through the art of dressing.
Mm.
But what I really see you doing is teaching the true nature of adornment, like adorning
Mm.
this temple of the body. And I know that you have a background in ballet,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and that I was hearing you speak about how you had to be polished and prepped at, some ungodly early hour.
Yes. Yes.
And I wonder if, just how has your relationship to adornment shifted, changed, evolved over the years?
So I believed passionately in the art of dressing up and adornment and playing with clothing and accessories from as early as I can remember. I used to have this really glamorous auntie that whenever we went to visit her, I would dive straight into her jewelry boxes and load on the bangles, step into her stilettos. Um, my mother didn't wear a huge amount of makeup herself. So when I went to my auntie's house and was let loose into her makeup bag, yes, there would be a lot of playing and experimentation. I just adored it from the beginning. I adored walking into, the beauty halls and the department stores, the fragrance halls. I was the child who I would pick up a lipstick and apply it without even looking in the mirror. From the age of 4, I would go into the hat department, and the sales assistants wouldn't look very kindly upon this little girl trying on all of the hats, and they'd say, "Please, could you make sure this child doesn't try on the hats?" But which I think is so unfair. And whenever I had my boutique and I had small girls coming in, I really wanted to encourage, as much as I did the grown-ups when they came in, I wanted to encourage the freedom to play and to explore, because that is the only way that we can come to know what we love, come to meet ourselves, with regards to how we adorn ourselves. How can we not know what we enjoy if we don't have the chance to play and experiment? So, as you mentioned, I was a dancer, and I adored the aspect of stepping into costume and makeup, for the shows. But also, as you said, we'd be encouraged to wear a full face of makeup at the ballet bar at 8 o'clock in the morning, because our mistress, our ballet mistress, wanted us to embody the glamour of the stage, even if sweating it out at the bar, and I've taken that through my lifetime since. It's a way of stepping into a frame of mind.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And I always marvel because, I work from home and I will be like down in the dumps and just like, my energy low until I go and stand in front of my bathroom mirror and start to apply my makeup. And, I went to Catholic school my whole life. And so as a kid, it was uniforms. And then in high school, it was a dress code. So it was like there was this discipline of dressing up for the day. And I used to hate that as a kid. But now it's like, I'm so grateful that I have it within my body as a habit. And I'm curious what you might say to someone who feels maybe intimidated or exhausted. Like I feel like this is really common, and I experience this too, of why waste the makeup? It's just going to be me, or I'm just walking the dog today. Or I have so many other things to do. Why bother? What might you share with someone like that?
What I would say is to look at the way that they have really done themselves a disservice by just saying, well, it's only me. Or me on the dog walk, or me on the school run, or me at my home desk. And I would ask them to, really ask themselves what makes them think that they're not worthy of receiving the pleasure of wearing something beautiful,
Mm, mm,
because a lot of the time I am sitting at my desk working from home. I'm just going to the local grocery store or walking my dogs. I don't do it for anybody else.
mm,
It is absolutely a process of my own healing. It is for my own sense of well-being. And this is what I want women to really understand about this way of life that I'm guiding them towards. If anybody else enjoys it, then that's a bonus. And they will enjoy it. They will enjoy it once you step outside and they see you on your dog walk wearing, a beautiful piece of jewelry or a fabulous colored blouse, whatever it might be. And it's not even that. It doesn't even matter what it is and whether it's something that they would like or they would want to wear themselves. If they see you in your pleasure, they're going to appreciate that.
mm, mm. God, I am having a moment of like, wow, because I, cleanse my skin and apply my balm and all of that in the morning for my own pleasure.
Mm.
I don't necessarily need to do that in the sense that like my skin will be fine if I skip a wash now and then, but I just love the way it smells and feels and refreshes me. And Laura Jane, I am like, I have never really thought about my makeup ritual and my adornment ritual. I mean, to say I've not really thought about it is not really true, but like for my own pleasure, if I never even leave the house, like I adorn for my own pleasure when I go out, like it's a huge aspect of my pleasure practice, but I'm having a reckoning within myself of, like adornment as self-adornment. Like I just really appreciate, and I see this as a thread throughout so much of your work, that sensuality, dance, eroticism, all of these things that are framed as ways to get attention or ways to connect with others or ways to please others, that like it is a self practice and everything else is
whatever.
whatever.
If it pleases others, then that's wonderful. We're happy for them. But ultimately, it's about pleasing ourselves, and it is the tools of self-seduction that we can bring into the everyday and the every moment, learning that we are worthy of the beauty and the pleasure and the sacred art of adornment, whoever we are going to come across that day, even if it is just us, it is for us. And that in turn, it really helps to, it has been scientifically proven by people who have done surveys. I won't name names because I can't remember them, but I'm not very good with the finer details. But Not scientific, darling, but when we're talking about beauty, yes, I know everything. But uh, so nobody, I'm sure, in this day and age has not heard of the theory of dopamine dressing, right? Everybody has heard about this. It's been bandied around a lot in recent years.
I have never heard that term before.
Dopamine dressing?
Dopamine dressing. Tell us about it.
Oh, well, if you insist. So, dopamine dressing is quite literally the connection between the pleasure that you receive, the release of the dopamine, but also the oxytocin, all of those delicious feel-good hormones that we feel when we eat something delicious or we enjoy some intimate connection with ourselves or somebody else, whatever it might be, right? So it is a very sensual pleasure because it's really connecting, coming home to the body. And it's the same with dressing, anything that is done with intention and mindfully and with presence of being within the body and within the moment can release these feel-good hormones. But also things like colors, there are connections to colors that, they alter how we feel, they alter our mood, they vibrate differently. So they might energize us, they might soothe us, they might embolden us. So all of these elements of the colors that we choose to wear, the textures that we choose to wear, right? So whenever I am discussing the art of sensual dress, sensual adornment, a lot of people might think that it has to do with, dressing for, an erotic encounter. And it isn't that. It is really a way of dressing that really titillates all of the senses, or as many senses as possible, right? So not only are we going on the visual, but we're going by the textures, the silks, the satins, the velvets, the furs, the cashmeres. We're going on the sound, right? So I love wearing armfuls of, you can hear them jangling around, armfuls of bangles or clip-clopping stiletto heels. I think clip-clopping is possibly, that makes you sound like a horse, isn't it? Click-clack.
Horses are very elegant as well.
A click-clack of a stiletto heel. It all adds to the heightening of the titillation of the senses. It also has been proven to elevate productivity and creativity, the way that we dress and prepare for the day.
Absolutely. And one of the things I've heard you say is, I will never tell you what colors you should or shouldn't wear. I know that there's, and I've not had this done, but there's lots of systems out there that will tell you based on your skin and your hair and all of that, like what colors are right for you. And I know so many folks rely on neutrals, myself included at times, because of their simplicity, and can be afraid of using color. And could you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, of course. I feel very passionately about this because I think that the moment you put restrictions, so I'm talking about if somebody has gone to receive a color analysis from a stylist who works with colors and informs them which seasons they might be in color-wise, which palettes, whether they need to go for cool or warm tones. It's not the way that I work. It's not what I believe in, because I believe that we should be led by the heart and what pleases us. And I believe that we should never restrict ourselves to exploring and finding out more about what we like and what is us and what works for us, I just think it's too sad to be stuck within boundaries, when there are so many different shades and tones and hues. And I really think, I don't think any woman is going to be able to necessarily go into a shop forevermore and be able to necessarily know whether that blue has the right tones in for her. I just think, just allow yourself to be drawn to what you're drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't allow voices from anybody else to tell you that that's not for you.
I deeply agree. And I think that, sometimes these systems can be helpful, especially when we're starting out. Like, I live to mix patterns, like mixed patterns and more eclectic fashion. To me, just shows such character and depth.
Yes.
And it was really helpful to have some guidance around, starting with black and whites and, neutrals. But ultimately, like, it really comes back to this truth of like self-trust and feeling good.
Yes.
And that being the ultimate barometer for your radiance, because I know that in your work, it's like, the medium is style. And yet, what you really help people get to the heart of is their own radiance in how they move through the world.
Yes.
And so, from a selfish point of view, for us work from homers, as you are as well, I know. I know that many of us listening to this podcast, and I appreciate you speaking about the feel of something. And I know a belief that I have deeply embedded in my subconscious, because I don't believe this at the front of my brain. But there's this idea that in order to be beautiful, glamorous, radiant, I have to be uncomfortable. Because this kind of comfort uniform is like yoga pants and a sweater or whatever. And I wonder if you might speak to that comfort and glamour and how they dance together.
Yes, of course. Well, I do believe that comfort and glamour can and do go hand in hand. For those that love their yoga pants and their sweatshirts, there's a great choice out there now more than ever, especially since I think the work at home, way of life really took off following COVID. And so loungewear really exploded onto the everyday scene, right? For me, I would just say I don't feel comfortable in anything that I don't feel beautiful in. Okay, so it's my own discomfort. That's what makes me feel uncomfortable. If I am feeling beautiful in my own way, right? If I am feeling, my lingerie is lovely. I have my waspy waist, little sort of corset on, pulling me in and making me feel nice and streamlined. And then on top of that, I have a lovely silky dress. And then over the top of that, a belt with a kimono and some jingly jangly bangles and some beads that are wafting around at my chest. That's what makes me feel comfortable. So now we're talking about comfort in different ways. And I think it's just as easy to put on a lovely silky dress and a kimono as it is to step into a pair of yoga pants. I will walk my dogs. I will do the hoovering in that. And that for me is comfort because it feels like home. It feels like me. And I feel uncomfortable if I don't feel like me.
I love that your answer to how to have more comfort is to put on a corset. That is amazing.
Day, but some days I just think, I'm feeling a little weighty around the midsection. I don't want to feel that. I want to feel streamlined, and it will help my posture. It will help how I feel within and without, and look without. And yes, that is comfort to me. That is feeling my best self.
Well, I love that redefinition of comfort, because I wouldn't say, when I'm out walking the dog, wearing my dusty trainers and, what have you, it's like there is a quality of comfort, but there's also a quality of discomfort. And similarly, when I'm, dressed to the nines and maybe my jeans are digging into my waist a little bit, but I feel fabulous. It's like there is a quality of discomfort, but there's also a deep quality of comfort and confidence. And so I love that redefinition of like the different flavors of comfort. Yeah.
And I think that so many women are against the aspect of what we would say is artifice these days, the beauty, the cosmetics, the extras. And I know why it is, and we don't have to go into it here. It's possibly another subject for another day. But what I want to do is really guide women back to the pleasures of being a woman. It is just my main aim in life to really reintroduce women to these pleasures, be it the art of artifice or not. I think artifice, it goes hand in hand with the art of glamour, the enchantment. It's to elevate the mundane. It is to remove you from the humdrum. And
yeah. Well, and when you speak to that, I'm thinking of just my own experience of going about my day. When I take the time and energy to adorn, I'm moving out of survival mode. Like when I'm in stress or anxiety and I'm just in survival mode, it's like, and this is true from a nervous system perspective, like often talk about how beauty sends a signal of safety to our nervous system, because when we're in fight or flight, it's like there's no energy left over to attend to beauty. And that's one of the reasons I so cherish the way that your work is a practice of pleasure, but is also a practice of presence, and using pleasure as a tool for presence. And I'm curious, when you work with a client, what are some of the challenges that you most often encounter when you're styling a client? Like, what are some of their challenges in approaching style or approaching this more sensory, sensuous kind of dressing?
I think the first and foremost challenge is usually that sense of unworthiness. I love working with women that know that it is a deeper dive into, soul level. It's not about bringing them the current season's fashions, to bring into their wardrobe. It's women who know that they want more and need more in their lives, and they want and need to be more. They don't know how. So the first, I think, hurdle is usually that lack of self-worth to get over, and to help them see that, they do deserve to wear lovely things, whatever their age, whatever their size, whatever their circumstances, whatever their budget, and their lifestyle. I love working with women who are older. I think that they are so close to having the ability to see and feel like it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, right? That they don't care anymore. Because when we're younger, when we're in our teens and our 20s and 30s, we do care, right? But I love the women that are in that, bugger it phase of life. At the same time, I want them to care about themselves. And that is usually the issue. They usually know that they want more and that they're ready for more. Maybe they have, they've come to a point in their lives, they've brought up their children, they've been successful in their career, and perhaps they've been through divorce or widowed or menopause, whatever it might be. And they know that they're ready for a change, a blossoming as such. And, I think it's so sad how a lot of women, as they get older, yes, they have that sense of, well, I don't care what anyone else thinks. But in the same way, they might think, well, I sort of don't care either. And I'm actually just going to slip under the radar now because my time has passed. And nobody cares what I look like. I'm old now. Or I'm this size, I'm this age, whatever it might be. And for me, the magic comes when they understand that they can become even more of themselves as they age.
Yes. I remember my mom was once part of a croning ceremony. And I actually recorded an episode. I'll link it in the show notes of my mom speaking about this. I had my mom on as a guest, and it was so meaningful to watch these women walking into this phase of life. And what was remarkable about it was the croning of the women happened through them being adorned with a purple velvet shawl. Beautiful. That they each took home. And there was this beautiful altar. And I remember walking into the bathroom and seeing wrinkles around my eyes and having the thought, when you hear your brain think a thought automatically versus you generating a thought. And it's like, oh, I just heard myself think that. I heard myself think, oh, wrinkles. I'm becoming more of a crone, like excited, And so I love that distinction of becoming more of who you are and expressing more of who you are, not less, as we grow and develop into all these different phases of life. And, that's such a core piece of what you do is expression. And I think that when it comes to expressing ourselves through style, there is this element of risk. And I wonder if you might speak to that, or what you might tell a person who, has their wardrobe, their uniforms, their things that they know match or they know look right on them, and they want more of that expression in their style, but they just don't even know where to start. To start summoning the courage to take a risk and expand their style.
Well, when I work with women, the first initiation into my offerings, if you like, is the style and shape illumination. And I like to take women onto a style fantasy adventure via a guided visualization that each woman receives. And I really ask them to really home into their wildest fantasies, to discard any rules, expectations, any societal expectations as to what a woman of a certain age should wear, or what the color of the season is, or what your particular colors are. Throw it away, out with the rule book, and absolutely to drop into your fantasy as much as possible.
I love that. Your style fantasy. Oh my God. And you know what was coming to mind as you were speaking is in this industry that you and I both work in, which is essentially being a support to people in their own evolution. There is so much emphasis on the mind and the thoughts and the inner world to address and process and work through how we feel. And as a few of my brain cells started to wander in my own style fantasy, it's like, oh my God, high-waisted jeans with, some like Halston-esque sunglasses and, walking out the door like, that is how we change how we feel. And I just so deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate the art that you put out into the world and that you invite women into. And as we draw our time together towards a close, do you have any parting words?
I do, Mary. Yes. my little bon mot, I suppose, stolen from His Royal Highness William Morris.
Oh.
and slightly rejigged. William Morris, the great arts and crafts textile designer, was very famous for having said, have nothing in your home that you do not believe to be beautiful or practical, which I think is a fair enough thing to say. It makes sense. But I have altered that slightly to suit my own tastes, and I like to tell women to not have anything in their wardrobe that they do not believe to be beautiful. And that is that.
Oh, and that is that. Thank you so much for casting your spell with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Obviously, we'll place the links to all of your offerings and your website and your beautiful Instagram. And for those listening, I cannot recommend highly enough pouring yourself an amaretto flavored beverage and just pouring through the archives of Laura Jane's beautiful art that she shares on her Instagram. And you also have a really exciting program coming up in the fall. And I wonder if you'd like to share a little bit about that.
Yes. In ode to what I think is the perfect time to step into a mode of transformation and a rebirth, that being autumn, fall. This coming September, I am launching my fully immersive style coaching program called Revamp, which is a beautiful melange of all of the services that I offer separately, but with added bonuses, added extras. It's an 8-week immersion. It's 1-to-1. I can only work with 4 to 5 clients at one time, because you really do have me in your back pocket as well. So as alongside the weekly calls and the services, but also the content that you will be able to access during those 8 weeks, you will also be able to access me via Messenger, just to share thoughts, feelings, ask questions. If you wanted to show me a top that you were considering buying, or ask me if I thought that, a new hair color or whatever it might be, or advice with buying a new fragrance, I will be there with you for 8 weeks. It is a fully intimate and immersive exploration, so that every time you open your wardrobe, it's, hello, friends. Hello, pleasure. I love getting dressed in the morning. That's what it's all about.
Hello, friends. Hello, pleasure. I am a yes to that. That sounds so extraordinary. And would you share your website, just so that, obviously we'll put it in the show notes, but just so that people can hear it?
It's www.stylebylaurajane.com.
Beautiful. Oh, you are a treasure. And I just want to purr in your lap for all eternity. And
I would let you.
If you enjoy what you hear on this podcast, you'll be besotted with what you discover in my brand new audio collection, In Celebration of Beauty. This 3-part series explores beauty as more than a pleasing aesthetic, beauty as a spiritual calling, a tool for healing, and an unexpected way to soothe our minds, nurture our bodies, awaken our spirit, and transform our world. Head to schoolofsensualliving.com/beautiful or click the link below this episode to download your complimentary collection today.